guys, let's make this part of our business. Like full time, we need to have an e-commerce manager. We need more focus here. And also we should tell brands we're going to sell here, because eventually you get kicked off if, they don't know you're selling online. And some brands do want you to sell online. Some brands don't want you to sell online. So we ran into that roadblock where it was, okay, how are we going to transition our business to make this a long-term, sustainable business? And that's when we started partnering directly with people, offering services, and ultimately now working direct with our suppliers.
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Kaj, here with Josh. And today we have a guest that we are very excited to interview, our boy, Jonah. What's going on, man?
What up, boys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
Ready to get into it.
I can see the nice sunny side of the US where you are. And as I look out my window, it's just raining.
Yeah, it's been hit or miss here. A ton of rainy days right now, but the sun does poke out. So I'm taking advantage of it today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, yeah, we just want to first start out with your background, how you got into e-commerce in the first place and how long you've been selling.
Yeah, so for me, I've been in e-commerce since around 2009, 2010. And it really was just flipping stuff on the side, So for me, it was textbooks, it was iPhones, it was anything that was in my parents' house that I could get access to and had a barcode. In terms of Amazon, I did eBay reselling before that, but since it's Amazon related, it just, that really opened the gate for me with textbooks. And at the time, I always grew up with, my goal was to play in the NFL. I wanted to be a professional football player. So with that, I never had time to really give a career that full-time energy or time, So it was great. With Amazon, I could work when I wanted to, just would buy and flip some stuff on the side. And I did that for maybe 8 years growing up. So the whole time, on and off sort of thing, still playing football. And not to fast forward, but I really didn't get into wholesale and doing this full time until end of 2019, beginning of 2020.
Got it. Okay. So you're one of those guys who's always kind of been flipping stuff. So you already understood that side of the game and that concept.
Yeah, it was always just background kind of, I wouldn't even call it a business. It was a true side hustle at that point. Yeah. And the rules were completely different back then. You could sell a lot of different brands. So for me, books, even Apple products, I had random used iPhones at my house, and we had a junk drawer of like maybe 10 of them over the years. And so that was like my first build up capital. It's like, I'm just taking, my family's old iPhones and selling them used. And then I'd sell textbooks and I'd sell my friends' textbooks. And then I didn't even know it was arbitrage at the time, but I was sourcing from like Craigslist, just all the junior colleges in my area who had the same textbooks as my friends had. So that was really how it got started. And, throughout that whole period, I didn't know what Keepa was. There was no SellerAmp, like no type of subscriptions, just, scan with the app, list something FBM, and if it sold, it sold. So I started out a lot of used products, mainly FBM. And then, wasn't until 2020 when I was even shipping in FBA at all.
Wow, that's crazy. How much money were you making when you were just doing it as a side hustle in college or when you were playing sports?
Yeah, complete side, dude. Like I was probably profiting a couple $100 when I was actually, doing it. There might be some months I'd sell one product, So it depended on what I was sourcing at that time. Throughout college, a lot of it too, my side hustle was flipping couches, flipping any furniture sort of thing, because people would put this stuff out on the sidewalk for free. It's crazy. Yep. And so I'd go
free inventory,
take everything. I'd take all that inventory, store it in my apartment, and resell it. So that's how, for me, it was kind of building capital at the time. I didn't really have that much money at all because never had a full-time job, wasn't the main focus at the time. So that's why I say for people getting started, like you don't need thousands of dollars to get started. You need to open a seller account and start sourcing something, and what you're doing right now, day one of getting started, is not what you're going to be doing day 100 or day 1,000, right? So it's really hard to implement that. I want this to be a business, but it's starting out, and I feel like I'm just hustling and flipping random stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
Before
100%.
we transition into like how it actually became a business, talk to me about that history as an athlete, as a collegiate athlete, and then as a professional athlete.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's one of those things where you don't realize it at the time as an athlete, or, when you're focused on this one goal or path, but the skills transition so well into business. Because for me, I was fine with that long-term mindset of, I'm going to, pay down the hard work now and delayed gratification. Maybe we win in a month when we play. Maybe I make the all-star team, or whatever it is. It is just putting in the work and trusting that there's a process in place, and teamwork as well. So for me, I felt like I was always a pretty good teammate, to be with on the team, and ended up being a team captain. So I kind of take that team captain mindset into me and my team as well, with business wise. So I'm more of a collaborator. I do like to lead by also, receiving everyone's feedback, seeing how the company's doing, seeing how the team is doing. And these are all kind of skills that I had acquired over the years from playing sports.
Awesome. Love that.
Yeah. Now, when you did go to school, what were you studying at the time? Did that help with your business at all?
Yeah, not at all, man. So like for me, I was so focused on football that it was like my plan B. If I don't make the NFL, my plan B is Canada. Like, I'm going to go play in Canada for years and then figure it out. Well, I got cut from the NFL. I went to Canada. I got cut from there too. So I'm kind of in this position where I'm, not sure what I want to do in terms of, after life after sports. And I skipped every networking event in college. I didn't have any sort of business, classes at all. My degree was political science, which ended up being like, I transferred in college and lost a lot of credits. And so to graduate on time, it was like, okay, you could be a poli-sci major, a history major. Like, I had a few things, or it was I could go to school for another year and, get whatever. And for me, I was just done. I wanted the degree, wanted to go and test out the waters with football. So degree in political science, haven't used it at all since, but even just from school, I don't bash on college too much. Is college for making money? I don't think so. But you learn all these skills, once again, that people who don't have a college degree or didn't have a college experience don't have. So good learning experience, had a great time. But in terms of business, it did not help at all.
Yeah, that's really hard. I mean, my undergrad didn't really help me either. I was all biology. So
right.
Yeah, it gave me pretty much no business help whatsoever.
Yeah.
But now, like, going through getting cut from Canada and all that kind of stuff, maybe getting cut from that final team, kind of starting to understand maybe football wasn't the long-term play. Run us through like some of like the emotions there and like how you ended up navigating those waters to kind of find Amazon as like, a good starting place.
Yeah. So for me, I was in the boat of a lot of people after, they have their college degree, they're kind of figuring out what's next. You quickly realize, whoa, a lot of people have a college degree. We're all applying for these same jobs. And I think I didn't realize how competitive it was. So I'm applying for these jobs that to me, I thought would be a slam dunk, and I'm getting declined. I'm getting denied. I'm applying for jobs at my old college. I'm getting denied. So it really was a point in my life where I was down because I just didn't have a path or a goal or something to work on. Like, I feel like as with many entrepreneurs and athletes, if you have a goal in mind and something you are consistently working towards, it makes, your day more clear, your life path more clear. I didn't have that. So I still had Amazon, but you got to realize at the time, it's sales here and there. I'm not doing any FBA. It's just a complete side hustle in my mind. And, it was perfect timing, perfect opportunity. And I had the skill of selling on Amazon to where right after I retired from football, it was maybe 3 or 4 months before I quickly realized like, oh, this Amazon thing, this is legit. This is what I need to be focusing on.
Very, very cool. Now, were you doing this all by yourself, or did you have help from anybody?
So over the years, it was always by myself. The main account I had was my mom's account, because at the time I was underage, so I'm like 15 years old. My mom is we're similar and making money with these weird different things and buying stuff and looking on Facebook Marketplace. So she was always interested. She never got into selling like I did, so I took over that account. But up until then, it was all me. And then at the point, it was the same exact timing as me and my friends from high school ended up kind of partnering up and linking up. So we started our background with selling directly for one brand. We were working for one brand, kind of helping grow them, and they didn't have much of a presence at all. And from that, one of my best friends from high school started working with another brand and another brand. And, after 2 or 3, it turned into a distribution company. And so at the time, I would help them just making sales, trying to push product, very much so transactional, very much so. I wasn't that into it, to be honest. But I saw the vision and I saw where we could go. And in 2019, I would sell all their used products on Amazon. So that was really like my niche for them. And it was a way for me to source product to where it's not random one-offs or buy and flip. Like I could start identifying brands and products that sold. And so I did that for a couple months. I did like 3 or 4 side hustles at the same time when I finished football. So I'm halfway a sales rep. I'm halfway selling on Amazon. I'm door-to-door stuff. So I did a bunch. And then right when COVID hits, obviously, no stores are ordering. Nobody wants to spend money anywhere except for online. And that's when I realized e-commerce, sales are keep rolling. Okay, let's transition. Let's list more stuff on Amazon. So it was FBM. And some people realize or remember this point, but in 2020, the fulfillment centers shut down for like a couple weeks. And the delayed time of shipping was weeks long. Amazon didn't have any warehouse employees working. And so any sellers that were doing FBM were just getting every single sale. And that was for me like, wait, what the hell's going on? Like, okay, if you have new product and you have the buy box, because at this point, I'm also starting to research a bunch into Amazon. I'm kind of just figuring out at this point. And I realized all the sales on Amazon go to FBA sellers, at least on the listings we were on. And once that turned off, it was like, sales are rolling in. I'm doing all the listing. I'm doing all the fulfilling. I'm doing the shipments, like anything Amazon or e-commerce, that was 100% me. And it turned into, guys, let's make this part of our business. Like full-time, we need to have an e-commerce manager. We need more focus here. And also we should tell brands we're going to sell here, because eventually you get kicked off if, they don't know you're selling online. And some brands do want you to sell online. Some brands don't want you to sell online. So we ran into that roadblock where it was, okay, how are we going to transition our business to make this a long-term, sustainable business? And that's when we started partnering directly with people, offering services, and ultimately now working direct with our suppliers.
That's awesome. I love that story. And just realizing that there's a big opportunity in front of you and taking advantage of it. Because I forget exactly how the phrase goes, but it's like you want to expand like the surface area of your luck. You know what I mean? And sometimes like we didn't have a big enough surface area when COVID hit, because we missed out on pools. We missed out on FBM. We missed out on a bunch of stuff because we were just focused on private label at the time, and we weren't in the community. So we didn't even know these things were happening. And now we're finding all this stuff out. We're like, we missed like 6 figures worth of profit in 2020 because we just had our blinders on. But I love that even throughout, not learning business in college, but focusing on football and then all of the different side hustles, it kind of like all beautifully comes together to meet that one huge opportunity, which then turned into what it is now.
Totally. And like what you're saying, it all was just surface area. And then also having the skill and experience behind it, right? Because that's what I think within the wholesale model, at least, a lot of people have those blinders on and they're so focused, but sometimes you got to just open eyes to all the opportunities around you, right? So for me, I work directly with brands. I work directly with distributors. I work directly with retailers, right? I just think of Amazon wholesale as buying product in bulk at a cheaper cost. So there's guys I talk to who do retail arbitrage and they're shopping in the same stores every week. Well, if it's not a main big name store, like talk to a manager, talk to one of the owners, try to stir up that conversation, because ultimately it's just getting you in the supply chain.
Yep, 100%. So 2020 is when you find this opportunity or the opportunity comes to you and realize, all right, let's go all in on this. Take us from 2020 till now and what the revenue increase look like and also the shift in business model.
Right. So 2020, a lot of it was just taking advantage of some of the brands and suppliers we had from day one. We got to $20,000 to $50,000 like pretty quickly just from listing everything we had in monthly revenue. We ended 2020 with a little over $1 million in revenue. And at that point, it was still kind of understanding the business model. Something like you said too, up until that point, I was a ghost online. I was not in any communities and just figuring it out on my own. Once even just being in the backgrounds, kind of hearing what was going on, what tools everyone's using, what strategies people are using, that I applied to my business instantly and saw a huge increase. So next year, I have 3 partners as well. So how we did it is we all accumulated our capital, our credit, and really started spending a lot more for the Amazon side of the business. I think we did around 4.2 million that year. So that was 2021. 2022 is 7-ish. 2023, we were hoping to become, 8-figure sellers that year. Ran into a major hurdle. Still finished with around 8 million, 7.8, something like that. So up until then, it has been just scaling quickly. Like we saw the opportunity. We're trying to take advantage as many opportunities as possible, but you see, it's like there's an abundant amount of opportunity out there, right? There's always going to be suppliers you can buy from, brands you can contact. So we're slowly starting to dial it back and be more precise with our outreach, be more precise with who we're working with. We know we're in a position of leverage now just with our own business. So leveraging that for better terms, discounts, stuff like that. So not necessarily focused on growing too much more. If we do, it would be from landing a few bigger clients, I'd say, rather than, working with more and more distributors and buying in bulk of stuff that we're not authorized on. So it's the authorized game's a little bit harder. It's a little bit slower, but I think you mix it with your distributors who have great product from day one, and you can build a pretty hybrid wholesale business.
Talk a little bit about, can one brand or one distributor change your business?
Totally. I think that's a big misconception in the space too, right? Everyone's focused on outreach and you need to hit up thousands of suppliers. Some people, you can have your connect before you even get started, right? You don't even know it. You have a distributor that's already given you the okay. You have a brand who could use help. One supplier changed my life. I know one supplier can change the majority of people's lives out there because it's that proof of concept, number one. And number two, you realize how much you can actually make from one great connect as a wholesaler. So once you get that one, then, you're always, if you're like me, you don't want to lose them, right? So it's working on how to better the relationship, then working on how to get another one like them. Because you obviously don't want to be stuck to just 1 or 2 people, but 1 or 2 can completely change the trajectory of your business.
Yeah, for sure. And we've had similar experiences as well, where you get that literally just one relationship and it can double your business in a couple months. It's crazy. So
yeah, and switching like mindset too, because it doesn't mean you have to be hustling more at all to like make more. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm making money with arbitrage, but I'm spending a ton of time with it. Well, in wholesale, it's still going to take a ton of time, but it's that front end. Everything's loaded up front.
Yep, 100%.
We have deals and clients where it takes 4 or 5 calls and then we get the account opened, and those are the ones where it's going to take that much time up front before. But once you lock it in, most people aren't just going to move on, in a couple months from you. Like it would kind of have to drop the ball for somebody to move on.
100%. And we're kind of in that transition now too, because we were doing private label, then arbitrage, and then wholesale distribution in 2023. And now we're focusing on the wholesale brand direct. And we kind of intentionally scaled back a little bit Q1 because we're focusing on 3 brands that we're onboarding that we know each have the potential to be $1 million brands. So it's like we could have put a lot of effort into focusing on the OA side of things, which we know really well, and we could easily spend a lot of money, but we wanted to divert our capital to something that has more leverage for the long term.
Right. It's like where you put your time, where you put your capital. And obviously we want the most leverage possible. So putting it in things where I can buy 1,000 units, and then it's not even, that's just the shift from arbitrage to wholesale, right? It's instead of buying 10, 20 units at a time, I'm buying thousands of units. Then the shift is, well, am I 100% authorized, good to go? Like there's not too much competition, right? Because I could buy thousands of units, but if the next guy is buying thousands and the next guy is, that page can quickly get saturated, And then you're stuck with thousands of units where it might have been a great buy at the time, but you don't know how much supply was in the market and somebody else gets access to it too. So it is one of those things where you always hear it, like you're going to hear a no in this business, but the no's are always your best suppliers. Like they're probably saying no to everyone else too. And then once you jump through those hoops, it's either you by yourself or it's you and 2 or 3 other guys. And there's enough to go around for everybody.
Yeah. And we ran into that issue as well, where we bought something where there was more supply in the market than we thought. And it ended up being our first 5-figure loss on a product. So lesson learned the hard way.
Yeah. Because everything looks so good, right? Especially when you're looking at the sellers, but you don't know who else has access to buy it. So
exactly.
I've had distributors definitely screw me on some stuff like that too, where it's, it's like, damn, I'd rather you just wait a little bit and I'll buy all your stock. But they're just trying to move product too. So they just release it all to the market.
Yeah. 100%.
100%. Now, like cash flow is like a big thing with, the Amazon space and scaling. How did you go about either raising money, using credit cards to help support your ventures?
Yeah. So for how we started out, we used our own capital first. We used credit cards, no interest after. And instead of diving straight into Amazon lending or a line of credit, we utilized family loans, family and friend loans. So there was people at this point who were interested in the business. I loaned my own personal money into the business. And from there, you can get 8% from the stock market, or you can get 8% with us. And that was something we did and got a decent amount of capital from friends and aunts and parents and all that. So good first option. But obviously at business at scale, you're going to need a lot of capital, right? So we started out doing a couple smaller Amazon lending loans, probably taken like 5 up to this point. Once you take one, it gets bigger next time and trust is there. So the first were like 25, 50, then it was 100. We took one for 250 and it was all going well because we had the relationships in place lined up. But you guys know this is super cash intensive business. If you want to grow, you need more inventory. So that's where we started leveraging debt, lining up a purchase order. We'd put the purchase order towards that. And it was great. We opened good accounts, but you end up being over leveraged at the same point. So we just now are almost done with our last Amazon lending loan, decent sized chunk, but, that's how we've funded it up until this point. I personally, we're scaling back on the loans lending side of things because I think just for the credit we've built up, we can do damage with what we've got going on right now. And then just, being smarter with profits in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And especially with the Amazon loans, I always recommend people don't take those, especially if they're newer in scaling, because they don't give you like a period of time to flip the capital. It's like the first payment is within a few weeks to a month, and the likelihood that you're going to buy inventory, ship it out, and sell through before the first payment is like 0. So you're already in the red with the Amazon loan.
You're already in the red. You don't get the full amount because, like you're saying, you have to pay it back early, and it's not the lowest percent either. It's just an easiest process, which is why guys go with that. So you could do a line of credit with someone, but you got to jump through a lot of hoops. And as a newer business owner, it might be hard if you don't have 3 years with tax returns and all that. So Amazon lending, they already have your inventory. They have access to your capital. They're the bank, they're the government. So they're like, sure, you can have a loan from us. You can get the loan in like 3 clicks, right? It hits your bank account in like 3 to 5 business days.
Yeah.
So it's very easy, but obviously the program isn't working that well because it's coming to an end. So they realize it's hard. Sellers probably aren't doing that well with the loans. So they're just canning the whole program.
All the Section 3s they sent out, shutting down people's businesses who owe them money. That didn't, if you had thought through that, might have done something else, but
I know.
Could you quickly explain what you mean? Because you said over leverage. So for someone who's not business savvy and is getting into this, what does over leveraged mean?
Yeah. So basically just in a cash intensive business like this, you're constantly spending money. Even if your business is profitable, you need to make sure there's enough cash flow in the business to where you then can pay your bills, right? But once you start taking loans and there's 6-figure monthly payments and you run into some sort of issue, well, now cash flow is going to come to a halt. This is when you're over leveraged because you still have all this debt you need to pay. So it's a constant battle of like inventory and profit versus debt and your loan, right? Or your credit card bills or line of credit. So when I say over leverage, it's just honestly too much debt or an uncomfortable amount of debt, at least for our business.
Right.
The more I'm growing business too, it's like you see it. Sure, you want to grow numbers and revenue and profit, but you don't want to grow headaches.
Yes.
So the more that business scales, headaches also scale. So it's about like limiting that aspect. At least for myself, that's a big it's a big proponent for us this year is lessening the headaches and still keeping business at a decent rate.
I love that. Scaling revenue and profit, but not scaling headaches.
Good. Just get bigger and bigger.
Seriously.
You had mentioned that you ran into a major hurdle, and if you're okay sharing what happened, I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah. So crazy story. I've been selling for so long, right? And everything I've sold up to this point, there's been tons of stuff that I have invoices for. There's tons of stuff I've never had an invoice. I'm selling used iPhones. I'm selling textbooks. Up until this point, I never realized how much I needed to focus on my account health. And even just because there's a distributor who has a website and seems like a distributor, you really want to check all the boxes. And so for us, we started buying from multiple suppliers after we took our loan. So we took our loan, put 80% of it probably towards the stuff we had lined up, and we had capital left over. And so it was, all right, let's put this to use. We don't want to sit on it. We need some more suppliers. All of ours are maxed out. So started doing outreach, our team did, and came across a supplier. They opened the account. They placed a proposal purchase order, and that's where I come in and kind of look at the data we have from the supplier, all the products that they have, and an opening order. And our opening order was small, it wasn't big. I click on the links to the products. It looks great, bad listing images, multiple sellers, no brand. We probably sold $5,000 worth of this product, and nothing in the mail, no email, just counterfeit with a test buy directly from the brand. And as I went to my distributor, like, hey man, you got to help me clean this up, like bad. It basically was, dude, I gave you the invoice, like keep submitting it like that, keep submitting your invoice, and nothing would work. That was it. And I was like, I need your brand's invoice, your distributor's invoice. And he couldn't provide. The guy ended up being just kind of a shady dude. And for us, we lost the account over it. So that was a massive, massive problem within the business, because like I said, there's still bills to pay, just revenue is just almost completely takes a halt. Like luckily for us, up until this point, we had been operating other businesses and other accounts. So it wasn't a huge ending, but it basically is a business goes down, completely done on Amazon, at least up until this point. We hired legal team. We reached out to the brand, multiple emails back and forth. And something we're seeing from a lot of brands, once they file a complaint, is their policy is to not remove IP complaints. So this brand just won't retract it at all. And it's basically just like you need a letter of authorization or a legit invoice. Like it's just an automated message from Amazon. That's all they say. Can't get anyone on the phone about it. Ended up being like a 5-month process, I'd say, of serious rebuilding. But you learn so many lessons too, right? So we were doing maybe 60, 70% brand or like direct with authorized supplier at that point, and the 30% was just distributors who were selling whatever, and it wasn't worth it for us anymore. So we cut back on those guys. We're doubling down on the brand direct, and revenue has came down a little bit, but we're more profitable. We have better relationships, and honestly, account health is number one. So for now, I know a lot of distributors won't give up their invoice, right? It's not a normal ask, but I need to know, like, for 100% certainty, like you are a nationwide authorized distributor.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like those distributors, they need like the blue check, like people like on Twitter and Instagram.
It's like anyone can pay for it nowadays. It's like $7 a month, dude.
You need like you need an Amazon blue check.
Yeah. You need a Prime badge.
A Prime badge, yeah. Prime approved supplier.
Yeah, seriously. So now, like, what does like your team look like? And do you own a warehouse? A lot of sellers do, some don't. What's your thoughts on that? And like, how is your team ran?
Yeah, so we do not own our warehouse. We rent. We have, I believe, 5 full-time employees in there now, a couple seasonal workers. And we've thought about buying warehouse. It probably wouldn't be in California, to be honest, somewhere like Texas, centrally located. For now, we're going to keep renting. We like where we're at. On the online side, we have probably around 8 virtual employees we're working with who do anything from admin tasks to communicating with our warehouse, repricing, all that. So they do basically have full service for our online, and the warehouse. A lot of it is just me, online team, warehouse team, and communicating on what's coming in and what needs to go back out. So up until this point, just a few months ago, it was just WhatsApp and Google Sheets. Like we'd have different groups for different sectors of the business. We'd have a Google Sheets with our team in the warehouse who would go and see what needs to get shipped out. And our online team would see what needs to be restocked. So they'd see what needs to be restocked, create the shipment link, put it on the sheet for them, and they'd go through and process the shipment. Now we use Monday.com for a lot of it in terms of project management, our FBA shipments, stuff like that. So decent sized team. But with me and a couple other partners, like executives, we all kind of manage our own part of the business, right? So that's the only reason I'm able to not be in the warehouse every week, is that one of my partners is, right? So he's logistics, fulfillment, a lot of the back end stuff. I do a lot of the Amazon related, virtual assistant, our team, like the day-to-day tasks. If we are onboarding a brand, like I'm the one who's kind of helping them get us set up with brand registry and next steps moving forward. And then another guy, he does a lot of the account management. If we have a lead, he's going to be the one who calls them. He's going to be the one who visits them in person and flies there. So we've sectored it this way just because we think we can get the most out of it. And trying to find as well just who's best at what, and just continuously doing that.
100%. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of sellers might ask, like, why do you decide to go the warehouse route? Why not go the prep center route? And what would you kind of tell them?
So it depends what your end goal is, I believe. We started out just doing everything in-house, so it was kind of natural for us to get a warehouse. So, and like I said too, this is 2019, early 2020 when we're really blowing up. And at the time, like, I'm not in the social media scene at all. Like, I don't even know if I really knew what prep centers were. It was just, hey, we got shipments to do. I'm going to go do it, or it doesn't get done. And then it quickly, like, a light bulb went on in my head, was like, oh, well, we have a friend here who wants to get paid and help. Like, maybe she can do some of the shipments. So instead of like outsourcing it to a prep center, we naturally kind of did it in-house. Like, the first employees we had, they would come to our literal house and do the shipments in the garage and the kitchen. It was just like what we did. We wanted to keep overhead low because obviously warehouses are expensive. We waited to the point where a lot of suppliers didn't really like that we'd get pallets shipped, to this residential location. Got to kind of turn a little bit more professional as a wholesaler distributor. If you're, meeting people in person, or they want to see your facility, right? So, yeah, like, you want to see the facility? All right, like, here's the garage. My mattress is like over here in the corner. Like, yeah, no. So there's a lot of advantages to having, commercial space, a warehouse, especially for what we're doing right now. So not everybody needs it. We also utilize prep centers at this point in our business with some of our East Coast stuff. We have a guy in New Jersey that we use, but it just depends on where you're at and what your goal is. Some people don't want to manage a warehouse and employees, right? It's a pain in the ass. It's a headache. We deal with employee stuff all the time and the turnover, right? So just depends what your goal is. But for us, warehouse has been beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a really good description of really what are you looking for. That's really important as you go about, your own Amazon journey. Now, kind of changing topics a little bit, talk to us a little about work-life balance and Amazon, and how you kind of combine the two together and how that works.
Yeah, so it's crazy. I'm still figuring this all out too as I go, right? Like, I have been a dad for less than 2 years now. I have 2 kids, and my wife does not work. She stays at home. And I honestly did not know how busy a stay-at-home mom would be, right? Because you just don't, you hear stay-at-home mom and it seems like they just chill all day with these kids, but like, the babies are full-time work, and I like to be there. I want to be there. So I'm there very often with my kids, but it's hard to balance it, as you're saying. So I think it too is just a matter of, okay, I'm going to spend X amount of time with my kids every day. My schedule is pretty flexible, so that might be in the morning time, and I don't start work until 10, but I, spent the whole morning with my kids, and then I'll go jam from 10 to 6, or I get started super early. Like, my son still is, getting better at sleeping at night. So I'll be up at 5 a.m. And if I'm not tired, I'll just go work from 5 to 9 and then go hang with my kids. So there's some flexibility to it right now, which I like. And Amazon gives you that. The flexibility, I think, is why we all start this business or are so intrigued by this business model. It's freedom of time, freedom of location, freedom to work whenever you want, where you want, right? So as long as the work gets done, nothing else matters. So that was really what, for me, I always appreciated my time, and I didn't want to go spend it sitting at a desk for 8 hours, even if I was making like, $250,000, $500K a year. It just didn't seem like something long-term that I wanted to do. So Amazon has given me the ability to be with my family when I want. And at the same time, there's not many people I think I did not realize how difficult it is to be an entrepreneur, because it's not built for everybody, right? You have this beautiful opportunity in front of you, especially with Amazon and the vehicle, but if you don't put in the work, it's not going to go anywhere. And there's no set schedule or set tasks you need to do, or somebody holding your hand every single step. So for the people though that see the vision and, you know, are willing to put in that work, it's a great opportunity. And I think allows you to spend time doing whatever you want in your free time. For me, it's family.
Yeah, that's so great. And I have the same experience in regards to the entrepreneur side of things, because I don't have a family yet. But I still value like my extended family and, you know, my parents and my siblings and all that. And I want to be able to spend time with them. And like my younger sister was on spring break last week, and my mom was working because she does tax preparation. And so she's like in the thick of it. So she's like, your sister just spend all day with you? I was like, sure. So she came over, she just, you know, hung out while I was working on stuff. She came over to the warehouse with me for a little bit. We did some other things as well. It was Good Friday, so I went to a church service, but like just being able to do that with family, it's priceless.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Like, you know, Tuesday at 10 a.m. People you really don't appreciate that until you don't have it, really.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, sorry, I can't make it. I got to go to work. It's like that never happens for you as an Amazon seller or any entrepreneur who kind of controls his time. So, you know, making money and all the other stuff that comes with business is great, but it is just like being in control, I think, is what is the top factor, and everything else comes from that.
Yeah. And you were saying how entrepreneurship, there's no one telling you what to do. It's a challenge. There's a reason only like 3% of the population or something like that is an entrepreneur. It can be a lonely road, but it doesn't have to be. And you talked about how you started getting active on Twitter. You grew your Twitter following. You've got, how many Twitter followers do you have?
I got like 20,000 on Twitter.
20,000, like, wow.
I've been on there for a little bit. Just honestly, 3 years or so of just documenting. So for me, that was the turning point of the community aspect, like we're saying, and just how much faster you can scale and grow as a person and in your business, being around the same exact people that are what you're working on. Because like when I started out, you don't know anybody who does this. You're not going to know any other Amazon sellers. You can scream at your friends, like, let's get started all you want. But if they're not into it, you know, it's all you. So you can do it by yourself and get pretty far. You can get really far. But doing it with a group of people, to me, is what ends up being like, you just learn so much from everybody else, right? So especially within a business like this, it's changing every single day with Amazon. There's new rules, there's new fees, there's new loopholes, you know, and that's the thing with outdated courses like that. I never was a guy who would buy courses growing up because I just had a negative connotation towards it. I was always skeptical, but there's a lot of good courses that are constantly updated, or there's communities that also have access to resources and stuff like that. And that's when I started spending money to join these communities. It was like, I came in 2020. I was there for like a year, started posting content, everything like that. And then quickly I was, you know, I was drawn to certain groups and drawn to certain coaching and community because it just was resonating too hard for me. And after my first one, it was like, okay, the value is there. Like I just knew there's value in this online information and that I was missing out on. I've spent tens of thousands on programs since then. And honestly, it's always been the highest ROI.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even when you think about it, like comparing it to a formal college education, right? Like, yeah, fortunate enough I studied business and finance. So there are definitely things that actually helped me and that I actually use in my business on the day to day. But 80% of it, like, I don't use at all. And it was kind of just high level theory that doesn't actually apply unless you're in the weeds. But then when you find a community of people, of Amazon sellers, e-commerce sellers, you know, bootstrapped entrepreneurs, you're facing the same issues, you're facing the same problems, and there's a likelihood that there's someone who's already solved the problem that you're facing, and you just need access to those people to be able to ask a question. And then that could save you weeks and hours of headaches with just, a simple DM. So the value is there 100%. And I was like you, I was very skeptical, because I remember the first time we paid for mentorship, I was very much against it. And Josh was like, he's like, dude, let's just do it. My tax return will cover it if it ends up being a total bust. But let's just see. And it was 100% worth it. It like 5x'd our business overnight.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just learning experiences. I think you grow up with certain ideas, and a lot of it is unlearning, especially like with what we're doing. It's like some things you have to learn to get to the next level. Some things you have to unlearn, right? Like for me and a lot of guys, like, I know you guys too, is we're just grinders, we're hustlers. We're always like putting in the work. And then you see like, damn, maybe I'm grinding on the wrong thing right now. Like I should be doing this instead, but I'm not 100% sure because you're figuring it out. So being able to be like, take a step back and look at and analyze your situation is a skill that I think a lot of entrepreneurs have, or high level ones at least. So being able to like step back, what's working, what's not working, and let's put attention here instead.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely love that. And I know that you've been working on like a wholesale community mastermind that I also joined and I'm a part of, and we've gotten value from. So if people are interested in something like that, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you could follow me on socials, just at Jonah Hodges _. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions with Amazon Wholesale. And yeah, just building out a community of other guys and sellers who are doing the same exact business model as us. We've seen a lot of support, constantly resources being updated, and weekly calls. So it's been a great experience so far. And yeah, shoot me a message if you got any questions.
Yep. Yeah. And if you're interested in that or have any questions at all about getting started as well, feel free to message me. Our socials will be tagged down in the bottom. Jonah's socials will also be tagged as well. And yeah, Josh, you want to land the plane?
Yeah. Well, Jonah, we appreciate you coming out. Everybody knows where to find you online. So everyone go reach out if you have questions. He's definitely responsive. I know that. And thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, give us some comments and some feedback on what you guys want to listen to or any questions that you have. And we'll see you on the next one.